In our last video, we looked at using our mottled rust technique to create a weathered and rusty sheet metal effect. We did so painting our improvised gun pulpit for our Trumpeter BR52 locomotive and tender in 1/35th scale. The BR52 Kriegslok locomotive was manufactured by Germany for the war effort. As a result, these machines could be seen in multiple areas in World War II. As fighter bomber and partisan activity grew, it's conceivable that additional defensive measures like our crow's nest might appear. "60 years later, similar field modifications were seen in Iraq on US vehicles. Having sprayed through our packaging gauze material to get the mottled look and then used a sponge to add chips, it's time for the hairspray technique. Most modelers will be aware of this, but for those who aren't, here's how it works. For obvious reasons, hairspray is designed to be removed with water, and we'll use this characteristic to our advantage. Before we start, if you're worried about the underlying paint being damaged, then seal it with a product like Johnson's Clear or varnish. This step is not essential, as the paint should generally be okay. To prove it, we just prepared to spray over the acrylics directly. Stage 1 is to mask off certain plates. We then spray some hairspray into the paint cup of our airbrush and coat it all over the piece. This way it's more controlled than spraying from the can. You can be quite liberal with it. The more hairspray, the more marked the eventual effect will be. Here you can see it on the surface. It's touch dry very quickly. Next, we use these Tamiya paints to make a top coat. This will be the colour layer that's going to be chipped and scratched. The dark brown mix is sprayed over the panel. Now we're ready to attack the hairspray underneath with water and begin chipping. As long as the paint is touch dry, you can start. Coat on plenty of water and gently work the top paint layer. The more you attack it, the more of the dark brown is removed. Here we're attacking the interior plate. You can even soak it so much that you remove virtually all the paint, as here on the outside plate. Here's the end result. For the final touch, we blended it all by misting over more of the dark brown, whilst allowing the scratches to show through. But we remembered to add another coat of hairspray first. That way you can still adjust the finish as needed, which we did by adding more water and chipping again. Using some masking tape, smaller areas were specifically selected for more hairspray chipping. In these shots, you can see the isolated area that has just been masked and painted and then chipped and scratched. This gives the impression of plates that have been stored or piled on top of each other before being used. Once happy, we sealed with Johnson's Clear, as we planned to do more chipping coats on top. We didn't want to undo the work done so far. We then chose two different Tamiya shades, dark yellow and German grey. We will spray these over the hairspray and repeat the erosion process.
How about helping us out by doing this?
The idea is to show corroded plates, still revealing their paint, but which have been recycled or repurposed to produce our armoured firing point. We also masked some vertical lines and sprayed near to the tape. When removed, you get vertical marks, typically seen on steel plate that has been stored for some time. Next, we repeated with the German grey, this time going over the panel we had previously treated with the dark brown. We then removed and scratched away the paint using a dental stick. This second hairspray pass allowed both the rust and the dark brown to be revealed under the German grey. Meanwhile, the desert yellow panel also displayed chip paint over the rust. We used the sponge chipping method over the top to show worn metal chips. Again, our old favourite Vallejo German camouflage black-brown is used. To finish off, we targeted selected areas with light oversprays of the original rust colours. This toned everything down and unified the colours a little more. We brush painted and used a sponge to add some brown chips along the edges of the structure. This was mostly done with burnt brown and oil and smoke tensichrome from Lifecolor. Finally, we painted some of the internal spot welds in yellow, as if they had been coated in rust-proof paint. With that, the hillbilly machine gun nest could take its place on the BR52 tender. The hairspray technique has been around for years, but nowadays model paint manufacturers have released their own chipping fluids, which have much the same effect. Vallejo Chipping Medium or AK Interactive's Chipping Solutions are a case in point. Check out our videos to find out more about these alternatives to hairspray. Meanwhile, here are some more shots of the BR52 and machine gun pulpit. The tender's now ready for some coal, which we'll add using filter carbon from a fish tank filtration system, which we sourced online. That's all for now. Thanks so much for your support. Don't forget to subscribe to Scale War Machines, and if you could give us a Facebook like, we'd really appreciate that. And don't forget we're on Twitter and Google+ too. Bye for now.
Subscribe for our latest videos.